Hi, it's Lauren. Welcome back to my craft room. Thanks for joining me today. I'm making just kind of a fun and silly card today. I am bringing out some Ink Road stamps that are Harry Potter themed, as well as my Echo Park, which is in Wizards paper pack. I just wanted to create a Harry Potter inspired card as an Ink Road stamp rack or random act of kindness. In the Ink Roadies Facebook group, we have monthly challenges, and this month is to create a project that is movie inspired. And while this, of course, is a book and a movie, it's just been on my mind to create a Ravenclaw inspired card, especially since I bought this paper pack when I was visiting some family last weekend. So I picked two of the papers I liked, and I'm using my stitched rectangles from Heffy Doodle just to help me with some die cutting. I'm going to create a background out of this plaid blue and black and white paper, and then I'm creating a smaller centerpiece of the newspaper looking, or maybe the Quibbler inspired paper. So I did die cut a hole out of the center of my plaid paper because it's going to be hidden and I don't want to waste any cute paper, so I have a little rectangle to save for a future card. I found some blue cardstock that I thought matched the plaid pretty well, so I'm going to stamp my first little icon from the stamp set. I'm going to say the first part. The first part is Muggle, and the second part is a swear word. It's a great stamp set. If you like snarky cards, you should definitely check it out. It is still available at Ink Road Stamps, so check out that link below in my description. And I used the crest for Ravenclaw, and since it's on blue paper, I embossed it in a nice, pretty kind of chrome silver embossing powder. And I'm just going to fussy cut these out. I cut two just in case one didn't turn out as nicely as the other, but they both turned out pretty great, so I'm going to use them both on this card. So then I grabbed another stamp set, and unfortunately this one's retired, but I'm sure you can find another Harry Potter stamp set, not only from Ink Road, but there are a lot of different stamps out there. And this is the Deathly Hollow symbol, and I got it from the Expecto Stampo stamp set. And I am going to emboss this on some vanilla or a cream cardstock, and I'm going to use my bronze or copper, I think this is copper, embossing powder. It's also an ultra fine, and this one is from Ranger, where my silver and later my white embossing powder are ink on 3. And I'm just going to cover that and then also emboss these. And once those are all nice and melted, I love watching my embossing powder melt. I'm going to wipe it with a Swiffer cloth like I do for most of my embossed images, and I'm going to fussy cut these out as well. And just like my crest, I cut two in case one didn't turn out as nicely. But again, I thought they both turned out great, so I thought I would just use them in different layering positions on the card. So now that my icons that I wanted to use are stamped, I wanted to work on my sentiment. I just love this "You're just as sane as I am" sentiment that Luna says. So since she's a fellow Ravenclaw and it's a quote by Luna, I decided to also stamp out her glasses. So I guess one more icon. And this time I'm going to bring out my Pear Blossom Press sentiment stock. It's this amazing black sentiment cardstock. It's perfect for embossing. So I am going to stamp on some scrap here. I keep every small inch of this paper because it's so great and I don't want it to go to waste. So I found a little spot where I will stamp her glasses, and then I will stamp the sentiment underneath it. And again, using VersaMark as my ink of choice for embossing, and then I'm using Arctic White embossing powder from Ink on 3. I'm making sure also before I do any of my stamping to use my anti-static powder, and that just helps keep the embossing powder only where I want it to go, which is on the VersaMark ink. And then I realized I probably should have done my sentiment at the same time, so I'm just going to quickly fast forward here, and here you can see both of those stamps have been embossed. I will grab a guillotine trimmer just to trim out my sentiment. I'm keeping it as centered as I can to this little piece of scrap paper, and it will work perfectly for my card. And then I will grab my scissors and fussy cut out the glasses. Once that's done, I'm going to grab my Echo Park, which is the paper pad. They also have a 12 by 12 sticker sheet, and I'm going to pick a few of my favorite little stickers from the collection and see what I think would match really nicely with the images I have as well as the paper. I love the crystal ball. I like this black little potion thingy. I'm thinking about using some other items from the sticker collection, but I end up also selecting a book that was in blue. So I got my card base ready. I have a A2 top folding card base. I'm just going to use some wide double-sided adhesive to glue this down to my card base. I am going to line it up because it is cut to fit on the card base perfectly, and it's kind of off center. I have a little bit of white peeking out on the right, but that's okay. I will eventually go in with some large scissors and just trim it down. I'm going to use that same wide double-sided adhesive to adhere my centerpiece, and I will peel off all of that release paper and glue down my other piece of pattern paper. It took me a while for some reason to get this centered onto my grid mat so I could get that nice and centered, but I finally get all my paper glued down. And then I'm going to grab some foam adhesive to glue down my sentiment. I'm just going to use my 1/8 of an inch foam strips from scrapbook.com and put that behind the sentiment since it will cover it nicely and give it lots of stability on the card. Now, when I'm showing this, I am centering my sentiment, and then I will grab Luna's glasses and put them on top. I later kind of move them down just a little bit to keep my sentiment and the glasses centered. So right now my sentiment is centered to the card, and later on I'll just slide everything down just a tiny bit because it felt a little too high because of the glasses adding that extra height in the middle. I hope that made sense. So I'm using my stickers now that I picked out and my little icon pieces and making sure I'm putting the stickers where I want them on the card. And then I will get out my foam adhesive square dots. I have the regular foam squares as well as the thin foam squares. I was trying to show the difference. So any of my icons that are going to be under each other. So right now I am putting my crest directly to my card base, and my Deathly Hollow symbol is going to be kind of overlapping. So the crest has the thinner foam squares, and my Deathly Hollow symbols will have the thicker foam squares. And then I added a thin one where it overlapped. So that way it's elevated and still popping up higher than the crest, but it's not terribly thick because I have a thin and a thicker foam square. And I'm going to repeat the same process in the other corner with the rest of my icons. I pulled out the stickers and I found some gray stars that I thought would match really nicely with the rest of the images. So I laid down 3 of those just using my tweezers to help me pull them up, and I put them in random spots on the card. Of course, I gotta have some type of bling, even though I do have some embossed shimmery icons. I wanted to add some of my Clearly in Love sparkle blends because it's my favorite. So I'm just using a jewel picker and some wet glue and just randomly putting some of these fun iridescent sequins around the card. Once the glue was pretty much dry, I grabbed my large scissors and I'm just going to trim off that white cardstock that's showing on the right side of the card, and now you can't tell that it's a little off-centered. Here is a final look at my Ravenclaw inspired card. Now I'm off to the Ink Roadies Facebook group to find a fellow Ravenclaw to send this to. I hope you enjoyed this quick little fun video, just having some fun with my stamps. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll click like, and if you're new here, I hope you'll subscribe and come back. As always, you can find everything I use down below in the description box. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Bye!